Hello and welcome to the Mama Meets Business podcast. I'm your host, Siobhan Bent, mom, mortgage broker, and legacy coach committed to helping you make, manage, and multiply your money so that you can invest and create a legacy for your children. Hello, Mama Means Business, Miss Kamelah Blair. Thank you for joining me.
Good afternoon. It's good to see you. I'm always going to wave. I know that they can't see, but
They
actually,
cannot.
me being here today, your presence is my present for today. Thank you for having me.
Amazing, amazing. I'm just gonna go give a little history because the people need to know that we've known each other for so many years and didn't even realize that we knew each other when we actually connected on social. Nobody couldn't tell me that your name wasn't Jane. Nobody.
I get that a lot.
Well, yeah. It's so funny that our parents know each other. We've known each other since we were children. So I'm glad that we actually have the opportunity to connect in our big woman stage. And
there we go.
Building businesses, building community. So I'm truly grateful that you said yes and that you're here. Let the people know, who is Miss Kamelah Blair, who is not actually named Jane. Miss Kamelah Blair, tell the people, tell us people a little bit about yourself.
Well, I am your local but award-winning author, Kamelah Blair. I'm the author now of 16.5, because I'm in the middle of writing right as we speak, 16.5 books. Out of the 16, 10 I have received awards this far. And I've taken a step back on my business this year. I made a promise to give back to the community. I know that you and I had saw each other sometime last week, where in my local church where I grew up, I'm giving back, where I have a writing program for the youth, where I'm giving them a different way to express themselves and not be so violent.
Yes, that's something I learned many years ago. I'm an aspiring writer too. Lies. I'm not an aspiring writer. I've written, but to get me to write every day it's a task. But I would like to write more. But I do know that writing is like so soothing and releasing. So I commend you on that, giving the children another opportunity outside of basketball and all of that other stuff, that they can express themselves and release themselves and even discover, gifts and creativity that they have that they probably would never think that they would have. So commend you on that. Congratulations.
Thank you.
And it was great to see you in the flesh. It was really, really good to see you in the flesh.
You as well.
Yes. So how did this writing journey start? Tell us a little bit about how you got here.
So even as a younger, a younger Kamelah always liked to write. Saturdays, after the routine in the Caribbean is clean up while Barris is singing in the background. Once my room was clean and my duties were done, I lined up all my Care Bears, a couple Rainbow Bites, a couple of my Gem and the Holograms, and I was the teacher. And I used to scold them like, okay, we're gonna have to write. And I would literally, Siobhan, take myself over to the Care Board, write their journal, and then. So it was like, it got tiring after a while, but hence, through school, it was always, my teachers used to say, through middle school, you should write a book. Through high school, my teacher said, you should write a book. Through college, I got the same thing as, you should write a book. And then COVID came and I wasn't ready. So I decided to write the book. There you go. Hey, to each their own, but I was really happy for COVID because it slowed me down to catch up on things and goals that I had put down, and they weren't complete because I already ran interior design business. I already had 2 kitchens that we were running. So I've always been an entrepreneur, but I was just on the go that I never had the time. And I like that you brought the word release, because when I released my first book in that moment at 8:15, I actually felt a release, and I haven't been the same person since.
Wow. Going to the COVID thing, as a believer, I know that God allowed that to happen for many of us because we have been going, and not answering the call that has been placed on our life. So you just testified to that that slowdown put you in a position to do what you know that you should have done many, many, many moons ago. And I know that that book is in how many countries now?
So Chronicles of Jane is my first book. It's a series. Volume 1 and 2 are in 190 bookstores worldwide. And to
Come
be
on.
honest, I don't remember the countries.
Woo!
I know 2 weeks ago,
190.
it landed in Taiwan.
Wow. From Jane and Finch.
From Jane, from
From
Jane and
Jane
Finch,
and
and
Finch.
from Jane and Finch, and I didn't even have I just got back my passport. So it's funny that I haven't been traveling, but my book has traveled many, many, many
Wow.
countries. So that is a very inspiring.
Won't he do it? Won't he do it?
Won't he, girl? Could I tell
Words,
you?
your words have power.
Definitely.
Your words have power. So 16 books. You went from volume 2 of your first. Give the people a little bit of insight. What does that story tell of Chronicles of Jane?
So Chronicles of Jane takes you back from Kamelah at a age between 5 and 6 years old, where I started to have trauma. So my childhood trauma started there. Without giving out too much, is I witnessed my best friend mother that day. Her common law, actually, he gave us a speech that it was all over the place today, but as an adult growing up, I kind of took pieces from what he was saying. And he was just saying, you know, as a woman, you do certain things in a household. As a woman, you know, there's time for friends and there's time for family. And even though he was saying that, and I take some stuff from it, is that he ended up killing her in front of us that day and said, his message to us, and then this is what's going to happen when you don't do this as a lady. So
Wow.
that was, and then I literally did not speak for a year.
Wow.
Right? So even just trigger words that he said triggered me off. And I know that our culture, I know they can't see, but our culture doesn't believe in therapy. So 2016 is just going through life and hearing those trigger words or hearing trigger sounds from that day. I could say today proudly that, yeah, I was a bully, but it wasn't that. It was a mask that I had to put on because I didn't want people to know what was really going on.
Right.
In the Caribbean, they say you see a man's face and you don't know a man's heart.
That's
and
true.
I've had friends come and go, but I've had the foundation of friends for over 25 years. And I could tell you this, when I released the book, they're like, I finally know you. I thought I knew you. I did not know you.
Wow. I'm floored. I'm literally like, I'm supposed to be moderating this conversation and I'm like stuck. Wow.
Yes.
So a couple of things. You said, you know, you were known as the bully, and we know that. I think even in, like, you know, in schools and even in society, we know that when children display anger, it's usually rooted in some type of trauma that they've experienced.
Exactly.
Right? That they're just expressing. So again, I commend you for seeking that support that you needed, even though it was later in life, that you've been able to release and to thrive and to grow since. Wow, whoa. And did you have your children before then?
Before the therapy?
Before 2016. How old are your kids?
Yeah, way before. Even when my children read the book, they're like, wait, what? Wait, how come you never said this? How come you didn't tell us that? And I was like, you know what? It's okay. I grew you guys 2 kings well, and I took what I knew to be wrong and never ever implement in my home. And I can honestly say through my family is that I broke a lot of family, you know, I wouldn't say curses, but I broke in the chain where this is how you parent, and this is how not to parent. I guess what I could take away from my book, from a lot of my readers, is, especially from the Caribbean community, is the parenting skills. So people who read my book understand that I was never sexually abused, but I was verbally and physically abused by my mother, right? And our culture feels that, oh, you're stupid and anything black no good, and those things are embedded in a child's mind. And in growing my children, I always, even when I went to parties and I have on one eyelash, I'm at the football field at 8 o'clock, even though I'm tired. It's Shaban, I'm tired. All I'm cheering, I have on one eyelash. The bass is still in my head, but you know what? I'm on that field. I'm at that basketball court. If they need tutoring, my sons went to tutoring, and I had to be up Sunday morning. And it was just a support that I never got, in some sense, that to change a narrative of how to parent. And even though I was a single parent, I think I could honestly say It kind of broke that stigma too, that you
Come
can't
on
raise a
now.
man.
Come on. Listen, it's actually, I've heard this before, and I'm in agreement. Like, even when, as parents, when we recognize the things that our parents did that may not have served us in a positive way, our determination to do things different is also a trauma response.
There you go.
Right? And it's not to say, they did the best that they could with what they knew. Because if we go whack generations on generations, it's a cycle. So yes, breaking those things off of our children is definitely something that I think in our generation has done much better job in doing, or starting, I should say starting. Because I know we're a work in progress. Sometimes I catch myself sounding like, Miss Andrea, but being aware and intentionally making those changes, showing up, you're serving yourself, but you're also serving your role as a mother, right? Because those parties, I used to do them many years ago too, right? For me, it was I'd get up and I would still come home at 4 or 5 o'clock in the morning and still be at church for 10 o'clock the next morning, right?
There you go.
It's just being aware of those things that we needed to change so that going forward, that it wouldn't happen again. So again, I'm going to be congratulating you this entire podcast, all right? So yes.
I take it, I receive it.
Yes, man, this is your season. So yes, you said, so the first 2 books were about your story. What were the other books about? What, like, do you write about a particular genre? Like, is it like what? Tell me more about those other books.
So after those came some self-help books, because people always ask me, like, how do you navigate through your businesses? How do you navigate through your day? So I can't remember the sequence, but I know that there was a journal that came out that said, don't give up. There was a journal that was very blunt and it said, write it the F down. Just write it. And then there was Invest and Manifest that was giving you tips and tools, like how to, there's no reason for you not to save. I know that this is, if you save $5 a day, the next day you save $7, and just to investing in yourself and investing in your passions. What came after? Then I wrote 2 children's books for penmanship. And then honestly, Siobhan, I can't even go in the order anymore. But I do have a short story that will be coming out soon. I know one of my latest books is about writing about mental health, how writing helps with mental health. I have a few ebooks that are just like guides for even if you want to self-publish or publish with me, my publishing company, those things of that nature. And I have Tiana's Affirmations, which does very well, which is the cover is my grade 3 picture that we animated. And I believe that in our culture, again, is that we don't teach our children about affirmations. So in that book, it has I think between 10 to 20 affirmations. And at the ending of the book, there is a certificate that you can print out and frame for your child that they have completed affirmations. And I think that Tiana, that character, also has a Christmas wish list book for children as well.
Listen, people, are you listening? She can barely remember the titles of her book, okay? 16 and a half.
16 and a half.
Once you release, you heal yourself enough to release the gifting. There is like no limit on what you can do. So you said you were in business before you became an author, correct?
Correct.
How did you end up into business? Because I know traditionally, I heard you say you went to college and stuff like that. Traditionally, we're taught to get a job and work for somebody. How did business become your path?
To be honest, a short but funny and life-changing story is I did go to college. I took medical administration and blood lab tech phlebotomy. And I was working at the hospital and with a physical therapist close to the hospital. And I'll never forget that there was a snowstorm. And this was many moons ago. This is probably over 17, 18 years ago. And at the time I was driving a Honda Accord. So it's a car. I missed that car. Anyway, and it was a snowstorm and I went to work. So I opened and everything. And then I would notice, like, work was at 9. I was there already by 8:15. And I noticed at 10 o'clock, no one was there. And then I noticed, like, to check the answer machine, there was no messages. And then while I was checking the message, you could tell when somebody else trying to check the message. And then my boss called and he said, Kamelah, are you in the office? And I said, yes. He's like, why? It's a snowstorm. They're not coming to see you. They're coming to see me. And he's like, don't you ever do that again. He said, we'll talk. He's like, pack up and go home. And tomorrow might be just as bad. So we'll resume, because it was like a Wednesday. He said, we'll resume work on Monday. But don't worry, I'll pay you for today because I don't know what you're doing outside, girl. Let me know that you get home safe, though. And I did. And the Monday after work meeting with the team, and then he said, I have to speak to you alone. He says, listen, you're better than my office. This is the beginning of the week, and I'm telling you, I'm not firing you. This is your last week. You've demonstrated the qualities of a business owner. You're not supposed to be working for me or anybody else. The skills and the tools that you've put into my office, I don't even know how to train them. So if I'm supposed to offer you a job, it would be for you to come in and train. You're no longer allowed to work here. I want you to go out and soar. And this is why I say to continue to soar high. I don't need you here. If something had happened to you, God forbid, you coming into my office for my clients, I would just have to replace you. And he's like, not no disrespect, but I probably wouldn't even attend your funeral.
Yeah. Wow.
And he was so blunt. And then the week passed, and the Friday, he bought me flowers. He's like, okay, Kamilah's leaving, everyone. And I still wasn't even ready to leave. And he's like, I can see it on your face. And actually, I want you to train. So I'm going to hire you. And of course, the pay was different. And he said, I'm going to hire you for 2 weeks to train 4 to 5 people. I will pick who I want. And I never want to see you back here again unless you're dropping off something. And that was it. I had 4 more days of work. And then I took my vacation pay, of course. And I've never, ever worked again.
So that, I don't know if that's tough love, that.
It was a kick in the chest. It was a kick, radam, right in the chest, beside the heart, to say, you know what, like you said, is follow your passion.
Yeah.
And that brought me to home decor, because I love me a good settee, would I say, right? And I changed. Now this is a fun fact that I've never shared with anyone, so I'm glad I'm sharing it here.
We have to translate to the people. What is a settee? Tell the people that what is a settee.
So a settee is a couch or a sofa, right? And I'm going to give you an exclusive that I've never said aloud. I have a storage that I pay for monthly. And I change my furniture by the season. So the set, yes.
Kamelah. Okay, sorry, continue. Sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. Sorry, go ahead.
No, I know what you're going to say, just like the partner. So, interior design, no matter, I've lived on my own from I'm 13 years old, and I've always had a spectacular domain. So I actually went into that field and I did very well, but then COVID came and I wasn't allowed into my clients' homes, and I wasn't able to stage with my realtors that they hired me to do as well. So my staging company, my interior design company, it deteriorated because of COVID. And again, it just led me to write.
Girl, they got stories within your story.
Yeah, and this is why it's 16 and a half books.
16 and a half books later. I love it, though. I love it. I love it.
Thank you.
Our stories make us who we are. And once we embrace what our story is and what the journey, what the reason for our story is what led you to what you're doing now. So you're a published author with a publishing company that doesn't only publish her own books. She helps others to learn and write and publish their own books. Tell us a little bit about that.
So COJ Books is my publishing company, which I also started as I released the book, the one day, the other day it was registered. Now, a lot of publishing companies, Shaban, they don't like me because I encourage self-publishing. Now, why is your story is your story. With COJ Books, I don't take royalties. So when you write your story, whatever the cost is, between $5,000 to $7,000 is my publishing cost. I want to encourage you to keep on going. So I will sit with a client. I give them the opportunity to either do either or, self-publish, and I have a fee to guide you along the way, Once it's complete, is that I have a distribution package. That distribution package gets you into 5 top bookstores, which is Barnes and Nobles, which is in America, Chapters Indigo in Canada, Books A Million in the UK, Target, and Walmart.
Wow.
Throughout a year
That's
to
a
2
big hookup.
years. Yeah. So in the next year to 2 years, your book will pick up between 190 bookstores like myself. So the publishing companies don't like that I'm doing that. But
Right.
I tell a lot of them is you got to do things differently, right? I'm not here to just to profit off of the authors, because I know what it did for me, that release, is I want others to feel that. And there's many little Kamilahs walking around with a story that they can't tell their grandmother, they can't tell their caregiver, they can't tell their friend. But if they write about it, somebody in Hawaii, America, Venezuela, they can resonate what you're going through. So that's the publishing company. And if you feel like, you know what, I don't have time for the self-publishing, then yes, then there is for you to take the other package, which is we hire a ghostwriter, might have an editing team, we have a design team, we publish the book, and then again, you can either get the distribution in the beginning or get it afterwards.
One-stop shop.
One-stop shop.
Love it. Love it. I love it. So for those who are listening, if you have a story, you know, deep down in you, you have a story that you want to put pen to paper, I highly encourage you to connect with my girl, because she's my girl. We family, but she my girl, Kamelah Blair, COJ Books. So somebody who is listening and wants to write a book, what would you say is the first couple steps for them to take in order to move themselves forward?
I always tell my clients when they do a consult with me is, what's the reasoning for you writing this book? Because there's a couple people who are writing a book for just profit. Is writing a book profitable? Yes, but it takes a lot of work as well, because the marketing, it's not like you having a trend where you have a sweater or you have a mug. You have to be out in the community, be staging and out networking with this different niche. So I always ask them, what's the purpose? Right? Are you putting your pain to paper? Are you planning on a self-help book? So we definitely try to ask them, what niche are you going into so that we can move forward? The next thing I tell them is, before we even start, is pick 3 or 4 titles so that we can pick from, and pick who you want to dedicate your book to. And then it's to visualize what your book cover would look like. I do these things first, Shabans, because that will slow down the process afterwards, because you can publish your book within 2 months, depending on how fast we work. I know with writing a biography, I always tell my clients to change the name, as I'm currently being sued by somebody that I did not change. Well, I did change their name, but they know their story, and it's just weird. But
wow.
I'll tell you another time whom it is.
All right.
But definitely to change the name, so that when we're editing, if you are saying it's Camille, we know to change Camille to Christine. So it makes the process a little bit quicker. And because I want the books to be out. Oftentimes I have a couple of clients, when you're writing a biography, is something that traumatic happens, is I'll give you a break. It happened for me too. I took 3 weeks off and not to write. So those are the first steps I always tell my clients, so that their masterpieces could be great.
Right. And I think too, it helped them, give them clarity, right?
Definitely.
Do they have to come to you with the story written already, or do you help them along the process?
So that's oftentimes I have 3 types of clients. Someone who's starting from scratch, someone who has literature either written and it has to be changed into digital, or I have a client that has an existing book that they've published, but they want the distribution so they can get the accolades.
Okay. Wow. I'll just walk into the library, or actually, I don't even walk into the bookstore. I shop on Amazon. Let me just keep it 100. And I have zero idea of how this book came to be. So there's so many steps to it. I mean, I co-authored a book a few years ago, but even that, I just gave my manuscript to Mama J, and she did the rest. So there's so many different intricate steps along the process. So a book is truly a masterpiece. And what came to mind is that, you know, when I talk a lot about legacy, and when your words are written, like, that is a piece of your legacy.
Definitely.
So I encourage anyone who, you know, may not see themselves as a writer, may not see themselves as a storyteller, but everyone has something to say. Everyone has something to say. And I encourage you to put those words on paper.
And there's different styles of writing. I have a young client
Yeah.
who took my writing program, and we bucked heads a couple of times, but now he writes for a famous artist, right? So I have another client. Um, I encouraged her, write a recipe book because I can't go through your snaps every day. I'm too busy. And her
Mm,
cooking book is doing really well. I know someone who I published who their poetry. So there's many
different
writing
styles.
music, poetry, recipes. There's different genres of writing. It's just to start.
That's it. That's it. The accountability is key with anything
Mhm.
in life. But
Anything.
tell me a little bit more about your writing club or your writing program for kids.
So the writing program is for youth and young adults. I say young adults, but I know when you came, there was a few people who were in their 30s.
Hmm.
The writing program is open for the GTA. It is a free program. So one student, one lucky, everybody will be published, the
Hmm.
basic package. So their books will be on Amazon.
Hmm.
And then I will still mentor them onto how to sell their books wholesale. That's a whole different topic. And
Right.
then one lucky student will receive the distribution package. So they're for free. So all of this
Awesome.
is for free. It's a 3 to 6 week program.
Okay.
Currently, I'm in Peel in 3 schools, and then at the Christian Center at
Hmm.
Jane, and then we're going to Peach with Tiffany Ford down there as well. So those are all free programs. So just keep in contact to see when the next one is coming out for you to join. And you might be that lucky student who gets distribution
Love
for
it.
free.
For free, because there's always a return on your investment when you get something for free if you do it
Exactly.
wisely. I love it.
Oh, I know.
So, so your boys, you said you're a mom of two. Your boys, I think they're grown now, but like, did any of them, uh, show any interest in becoming an author or even a business partner?
So a business partner, Chronicles of Jane, the book, had merch, so which is Jane print apparel. I
Okay.
sold that business to my sons 50 cents each for $1. So they now taken that company. It's too much for me. They also already had their companies. I set the kids up well. Shabbat, I take lessons from you. So they've had the
Good.
incorporation since they were, I think, 17 years old. They had the incorporations. So
Nice.
they both do music, so they do write,
Okay.
and they have a record label, Mustang City Music, that they
Mm,
encourage young youth as well to express themselves, but they have to write to
I
get to
hear
the
you.
music. So it goes to coincides,
Because
but
yes,
being an author, I guess they're an author of their own journey at this point, but they're
for sure.
very
What?
much supportive, and they've made a track for Chronicles of Jane for the
Okay.
documentary that will be out this fall.
Ooh, yes, yes, yes. You dropped this. You jumped the gun. I was gonna ask about that after, but since you brought it up, kudos to your children. Okay, kudos to your
Thank
children.
you.
So we are examples, right? We show them the way, and as long as they show an interest, I mean, we can't force them. I mean,
Definitely.
Mateo will not be doing mortgages. I can tell you that for sure. But we should encourage them and foster that
Yes.
little curiosity in them. So yes, the documentary. Tell me about the documentary. What's coming up
I
with that?
actually remixed it and called it a bookshrementary
Okay.
because because it's around the book. So we're currently filming because the Jane movie I put aside because I didn't feel that the world really knew Kamelah. They knew Kamelah through the book, but they didn't know me or put a face. I know that Instagram is entertaining, but I
Mm-hmm.
wanted to give them that exclusive backstory before we drop the movie, which will probably be in the next year to 2 years. So
Okay.
we're currently filming. It's there's a couple of people, my dad, my best friend, he's he's sending in his portions. So you're gonna be able to hear Kamelah from different views. So
Mm.
someone who's a senior, someone who I helped raise, my
Mm-hmm.
children, my godchildren who are much younger, people in the community are just putting in their inputs on, you know, what their vision of Kamelah or what their experiences of Kamelah, because there was different experiences of Kamelah, child. Because if you experienced me through high school, well, child, it is not the same Kamelah. So I wanted to be so transparent that it wasn't just me speaking of myself or the kids saying no cap, right? So I'm letting others tell you, good, bad, or indifference, Kamelah experience.
We are looking forward to that, because yes, that Instagram is definitely a trip. Okay, you're getting your message across, but you are making us laugh in the process. So I love it.
Yes. There you go.
All right. So where can the people find Miss Kamelah Blair, aka Chronicles of Jane?
So definitely social media platform would be my government name, which I'm just getting used to. Believe it or not, I'm not even used to my name, but so it's Kamelah Blair on Instagram. The books you can find again on Amazon, Walmart, Target, Books a Million, or Barnes and Nobles. Any bookstore you type in Kamelah Blair, you'll find a book. And then if we're in the city, I always encourage my readers, if you have my book, just let me know, DM me, and I want to sign it, because it is a treasure to have. So I want to sign it. And we'll keep something again for another book signing with some of my other people that I publish, my clients. It's in the works.
Wonderful, wonderful. Thank you for joining me.
You're more welcome.
Great. I love your energy. I feel like I could probably go for a walk right now. Like you pump me up for the day. Thank you. I love your energy. I'm so inspired by all that you're doing. I'm even proud of you. I don't know if I'm older than you, but I'm probably older than you. But I feel like proud, even though like we haven't seen each other all these years, that you know you've experienced what you experienced at the tender age of 5, and to see how you literally allowed the Lord to use you, take your story and use it for good. So I commend you. I honor you. I love you.
I love you more. And I'm actually proud of you too. So I'm going to do this shout out too, is if you guys need help on that mortgage, honey, take this class. I took her class and I took a short version of your class, and I ended up with 4 pages of notes. I was behind her, even though we disagreed about the partner. I still, so hit
That's
her
a whole
up,
nother
because
podcast.
what you're doing, it's being done, but not on the level that you do it. And your intentions are pure. You're not looking to say, oh, I'm coming here and I want a client and do this and do that. I got the energy from you is Siobhan really wants us all to win. This is how to do it. And you gave us multiple ways to get things done. So I want to commend you and say I'm proud of the work that you're putting into the community. It is much needed.
Thank you so much.
You should write a book.
You. Yeah. It's on the list. It's on the list.
There you go.
And I know where
to come.
COJ Books. I know where to go. Thank you once again. Listen, if you are listening to this podcast and have found any type of value, any type of action point, that's what I want. Forget the value. I want you to pick an action point, because I know you're listening and I know that you have a story that you want to tell, whether it is a personal hurt-filled story or it's something funny. You have words that you want to put on paper. So I'm going to charge you to reach out to Miss Kamelah Blair on all social platforms and get that book written. 2023 is still young. You can do it. All right. Remember to subscribe, and I'll catch you on the next episode. Bye for now.
Bye-bye for now. Thank you.